Hello everyone, welcome back to the Curator Shelf. You're joining me still on a warm, bright, sunny day in Brussels. It's kind of like a double shot today. I just did one video, doing another one. But yeah, I wanted to do this one while it was still fresh in my mind. It is none other than my deep dive of August, which was the Tarot of Light. So before I go on, welcome back to those who already know me. Welcome to new subscribers. This is the Curator Shelf in Brussels. I do 1 month with a deck where I pull a card from that deck throughout the month. I sometimes pair it with other decks, sometimes I don't, it doesn't really matter, but all 30 days or 31 days, I will use one deck throughout, and that's the deep dive, and this last month was the Tarot of Light. This is a deck by denisejarvie and ToniCarmineSalerno. It was previously published as the Art of Love Tarot, and it was renamed. So it's the same deck basically. It is a Blue Angel deck, and it currently, I don't know how much it is currently, 25 euros? I think I ordered it from Book Depository, and I think I paid about 25 euros for it. Now, and before I forget, I know I've been asked this question, my monthly deep dives, just going quickly back to that again, my monthly dives are usually a mass market deck, because that means it is accessible to everybody, not just geographically, but budget-wise too. So I try to do that so that, and then I will have indie decks, but the deep dive, the main one, is a mass market deck. So yeah, just as an FYI, if somebody's wondering why is she picking certain decks only, but there you go. So what I try to do when I do my monthly dives is I tend to pick decks based upon seasons, based upon moods, based upon also my need for color and light at that time. You know, living in Northwest Europe, like most places in this part of this region of the world, you know, we're in summer right now, we're going towards autumn, and what will happen is as the light goes out, you know, I'm going to less use decks like these. I'm going to be more drawn to the darker, deeper, moodier decks. And then, you know, in February, March, I can feel myself yearning again color. So yeah, so that's why I thought August. Now, I also wanted to do a deep dive of this deck last year in August, and I decided budget-wise it was not a good idea. So anyway, I bought this earlier this year, and then August came and I was going to do something else, and I thought, no, let's just do Tarot of Light, and I'm going to explain that a little bit more as I go into it. So yes, so this is a Blue Angel deck, published before, known as the Art of Love Tarot. It's a deck, 78 cards, so we don't have any extras or anything, with an extensive guidebook, which I'm going to go into in a moment. And I can't remember when it was originally published by denisejarvie. Just give me a moment, I'll give you the, yeah. Originally published in 2017 as the Art of Love Tarot. So it hasn't been around that long. It's been around 5 years, and then in 2021 it was renamed. And ToniCarmineSalerno has done the artwork. Now, actually, the thing is that they've also, I think it's the same Geo who did the Magdalene Oracle, and I really would like to get that deck. But I decided to get the tarot deck because I just decided to get and begin with more of the meat of it. I do know that there's some overlap of the artwork as well. So anyway, so I might still get the Magdalene Oracle, but I thought let's start with the tarot deck. So yes, so here it is. Again, they've already said also on the back of this, originally published as the Art of Love Tarot. So if you have the Art of Love Tarot, it's the same deck. This is the inside of the box. Blue Angel do beautiful boxes. I think the card, their boxes are of great quality, very sturdy. They do protect the deck. I'm not really a bag person, so for me, the boxes do matter. And these are the backs. Aren't they gorgeous? Now, this is Blue Angel cardstock, so we're looking at the same cardstock that they have for their oracles. You know, that beautiful matte, buttery cardstock, quite thick. Some people don't love it because it can be quite clumpy, but I'm okay with it. I like it tactile-wise. Just quickly to note, while I've got it in my hand and I'm sitting here, maybe, just give me a moment, I'm going to pull out the Isis Oracle because it's right behind me. It's easy to grab. This is also a Blue Angel deck, Blue Angel Oracle, and I'm just thinking while we're all here, shall I show and do a card comparison, because then we can see how does it compare with a standard oracle deck. Is it the same size? I'm not sure. No, it isn't. So the good thing is that the Tarot of Light is more closer to a standard I don't know actually. So this is the Isis Oracle by Alana Fairchild and Jimmy Manton. This is the Tarot of Light. So we're just going to do quickly a comparison of card size. And let me just quickly get a tarot card out, so then we can just hang on a second. Then we can do a really good comparison. We're all here. Does this make sense? Okay, so this is a US Games tarot card. Right, interesting. We could also use all these decks together, but interesting. Okay, so this is the Tarot of Light, and I think, yeah, it's a smidge wider. It's the same, I think it's a smidge taller in height than a US Games, but yeah, I mean, basically they've made the tarot deck similar to a standard tarot deck rather than an oracle deck. But you do have the cardstock of the Blue Angel oracles, which I think is always yummy and nice. I find them quite sturdy and durable, and as you can see from my Isis oracle, it's still going quite well. But okay, this is the Tarot of Light. So back to the backs. The backs are gorgeous, so pretty. They actually remind me a little bit of, I don't know if you remember the Wonderland Oracle by Lucy Cavendish, also a Blue Angel deck, and they have similar backs with these hearts kind of thing, but different motif. But anyway, keep going. Right, so these are the cards. They are with a border, so you can chop off the border if you want to. I decided to keep it on for now. I haven't edged mine or anything. I just used it out of the box. August was, I'm going through still my family challenges, and August was a month where I really just needed to do a lot of other things, and I didn't want a lot of fuss when I was working with the tarot, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to just get on with it. Now, interestingly, so what was it? I had the Gaian before in July. That was the July deck. So this is quite a departure from it. The first thing to note about this deck is I think it's got a very strong element of this pastel quality, and I immediately noticed that the borders do vary according to the cards, the suits, the majors and the minors, whether or not we've got kind of like the trees, which are the pentacles here. So they have been renamed. Knight of Hearts, Hearts of Cups, and you get at the bottom of each one a keyword. So here we have the Eight of Stars. The stars are the wands. I loved the wands, and the wands are kind of like this slightly yellowy pastel, yellowy green, and it says Surge. So Eight of Wands, traditionally known as communication. This would be Surge. So just right off the top of the bat, top of my head, mix those two together. This deck is, I think, if you really need to tarot, I wouldn't recommend it because it might just be confusing at the beginning. But if you can understand like corresponding the suits to the new names and so forth, and you know already what's in them in each card, then it's fine. But you do get a keyword, Six of Angels here, transition. And what I also noticed was sometimes the keyword wasn't as close to a traditional RWS keyword as one would have it. So, sometimes I think a deck like this can, unless you're open for it, it can be quite misleading for a newcomer. But, it's a deck still that I think that has got a lot of learnings in it, basically. So here we have Knight of Trees and we have Custodian. And in the traditional RWS, you would have kind of like, the rider on the horse, which is very slow and plodding and very logical, rational, doing everything by method and order. And here we have Custodian. And it can, we can link it all together, but, one needs to be able to just do that jump rather than coming in as a newcomer and thinking that, I don't really see how they're corresponding with the traditional RWS. But it kind of like does. It's just more denisejarvie and ToniCarmineSalerno's interpretation of that card a little bit further. So I am really struck by the pastel colors. Here we have 4 of trees. We're still in that green. Hearts, that purpley pink. It says here healer, king of hearts, king of cups traditionally. The emperor, father. So we've got this kind of like purpley kind of like, you know, border for this major arcana. And I'm just thinking, can I find Page of Stars, Curiosity? So we're back to the wands here. I absolutely love that leopard there. You know, and I love the keyword for actually this one. I'm just trying to see if I've missed out anyone here. I need to find, yeah, so the angels was the swords. So here we have it, 9 of angels, 9 of swords. It says here guardian. I mean, traditionally in RWS, we wouldn't see it as guardian, but here it is. So that's why I'm saying that there has been quite a departure in some ways from the traditional RWS, but I still think it has a lot to offer. So this deck has a lot of pastel-y components. But the other thing you'll notice straight off it as well is that, and I do want to say this because I think it's important, is that it's got quite a bit of linkage back to Christian imagery and tradition. Now, if you're someone that finds that quite jarring and just is not right for you, I appreciate this is not the right deck in that sense. If you're someone who is moving away from that tradition but still wants to have some linkage back to it, this could be an alternative deck because it does have those kind of like slightly Christian themes. To me, it didn't bother me, but that's myself. So I know for some people, it could be jarring. It could be just bringing up things that they just like, I don't want to see this. This is not for me. So I do want to bring that kind of like a bit of like a disclaimer here, you know, that it's not, I don't think it's for everyone. But I didn't find it that difficult for me. And what was interesting was that I found some of it really interestingly corresponding with, like, you know, the mythological aspects and so forth, ancient mythology. So, you know, there's kind of like this deck has kind of like a bridging going on back to traditions. At the same time, it wants to be its own deck, and I see that with its keywords. So yeah, so that was like some of the impressions that I had. The other thing that I absolutely love is ToniCarmineSalerno's artwork. I think the artwork is just astounding. I mean, I found it like the not just the pastels, but the way he brings through kind of like elements of like the flow and light and darkness and the positions of the bodies and so forth. I found it really captivating. One thing is that this is called the Tarot of Light, and as I'm going through it, the one thing that I noticed as I was using was all of the images have an ethereal light coming through, and where and how that light is piercing the image was really interesting. So I was kind of like watching, it was like watching or seeing, sorry, looking at, it's not a stained glass window, but that idea of translucent light coming through the object and the form, and how the light is placed is showing me a lot about that person and or that image basically. So I found that very interesting. You know, it is called Tarot of Light, and that is very true. I think the detail in the cards is astounding. If you look at some of the details here, there is a deck, an indie deck called, I think it's called the Tarot of Trees or something like that. It's a tree deck. And when I was looking at this, I found this to be really similar somehow. It was kind of like evoking that image for me. So I really felt like I was getting a feel of that Tarot of Trees kind of atmosphere as well. I love the fish in this. So the other thing that I found interesting was that this deck does a capture of the elements, whether we're in water or fire or earth or air, very, very well. I personally find this deck leans more towards the air and the earth realms. That's where I really found it to be shining. But some people would say, no, the cups, like the heart suits is gorgeous. And it is, you know, and I really see that as well. But I really found myself very much drawn to its earthy elements. Here we have the Ace of Trees. I mean, look how gorgeous and beautiful the colors are there. And, you know, we've got the stars, we've got hearts, and yeah, I just think, you know, the imagery and the artwork is just spellbinding. And look at the, you know, they've written kind of like a script at the back. So, you know, it's like, you know, we write our script in the Tree of Life. And I just find that mesmerizing. I find that there's a lot of sometimes harking back to ancient Egypt. Here we have the Ankh. And so there's quite a lot of mythology and tradition weaving itself in and out, and yet it is breaking away from that tradition sometimes as well. And so this is a real deck that unless you find it offensive or jarring, which again I say, of course, full disclaimer, then it's not going to work in that sense. But if you're someone that's moving away from that, but you still would like that feeling of homeness, or I know some people move away from tarot and then they're moving away from their tradition, and it feels a bit like they're losing their home. Some people say that, and they want that link back to their imagery. This could be a deck for you. And that's what I found very interesting. There is some nudity. I should have mentioned that before. There is some nudity, but I found it very, again, tastefully done. I didn't find it to be, I don't know how to put it, but jarring again, or... yes, there are some things which can be quite graphic, some decks, and that's fine for certain people who would like to see that imagery. For me, I personally can only take so much of that, so I didn't find this nudity very unpleasant or difficult to look at. Interesting, by the way, I just want to stop here. This is the Queen of Stars, the Queen of Wands, and it says Illuminator. How beautiful. She reminds me of Gwyneth Paltrow, so if anybody else thinks that, just let me know. I thought Gwyneth Paltrow, but yeah, so see, this is beautiful. And I do know that this image, I think, appears in one of others, ToniCarmineSalerno's decks. So yeah, I really loved the moon card in this deck as well. Now there's a illusion. But yeah, I just found it. I just want to now speed up going through it. But I found this is like a really beautiful artwork deck for me. And so I was really happy to use it. Given the difficult situation that I'm going through personally, I found this deck was perfect because it just was like, I don't know how to put it, but it didn't give me a hard time. It was very soothing, and that's what I needed, So originally I wasn't going to do a deep dive on this deck this year, and then I found myself doing it. So there you go. It's meant to be, right? So sometimes we do a change of course and it works out really well. Here we have the Eight of Hearts, Eight of Cups, codependency. Traditionally, I would not see the Eight of Cups as codependency. Maybe some people would. So this is quite interesting for me. Again, there are some departures which I'm not sure are going to help a newcomer when the newcomer needs to really see and experience that card in their own way, in that sense. This could actually then precondition a newcomer to see the card in a certain specific way. I'm not sure about that, but that's just, that's just my 2 cents worth. The Lovers card there, beautiful image again. Nine of Angels. They're showing it as guardian. I see it more as nightmares and, that over analytical thing going into craziness. But here it's more showing like the positive side of that actually this is the moment where, and a guardian angel can come in and say, it's just overthinking basically. Five of Angels. I really liked this card, It says here withdrawal. I really like this card of like, what battles we pick. Queen of Angels, Queen of Swords. Traditionally, Ace of Stars. I loved the one suit in this deck. See, Two of Hearts. You see, this is very similar to the Lover's image, but just done differently. I loved the Tower card here, the Ego Collapse. I thought that was an amazing Tower card. Again, it's just a breakdown of the building, but just done in a different way. Here we see, the night sky, a different night sky coming in. So, there's thunder there, but this is a much calmer. So it's almost like, showing that actually once we've had that breakdown, calm is coming through. So it's got all the traditional imagery, but just done differently. And I like that. It says collapse, so the ego collapse. So, when I drew this card once, I just loved getting it. I was very happy to get it actually. Yeah. Six of Hearts, the past. The turnaround. So that's the traditional Hanged Man. He does the tree so well in this artwork. Two of Trees. Four of Angels. The Sun. Five of Hearts. The Teacher. So this is more the Hierophant. I like the fact that it's a female Hierophant. The Retreat. Ten of Trees. Loyalty. So Page of Trees. See, this is, I think, used in the Gaian Oracle. Also artwork by ToniCarmineSalerno. I'm not sure who the writer is. Four of Stars. I think this artwork as well appears in another deck. Nine of Stars. Seven of Trees. See the light coming through, piercing it. Two of Stars. You can see the light from the imagery on their faces, you know. Three of Stars. Beautiful. 10 of Angels. And here it says surrender. 6 of Stars. 7 of Stars. Yeah. See, I'm having trouble with that. And then it says faith. 7 of Wands. Do I put 7 of Wands? Yeah, I mean, you know, the courage, you know, having faith, you know, to face that battle. But her body position doesn't really show. I don't know. It just, so this is why I'm saying that I can do the deck as if I know, because I know the RWS really well. But if I didn't, I would find this deck a bit confusing. But that's just me. The acceptance, harmony. See, now this is very Christian imagery, as you can tell. You know, the alchemical here. Jesus is kind of like the alchemical, and that's where I sometimes think that, you know, some people I think would really find this not for them. But I was okay with it. So, you know, Jesus' temperance, you know, balancing and making the impossible possible. That's what I see when I see traditionally temperance. Knight of Angels. 4 of Hearts. Gorgeous colors here. Ace of Angels. Okay, near the end now. 8 of Angels. Eight of Angels. The Magician. Again, like this is more of a female or feminine description of the Force, the Strength card. I got this card quite a lot actually this month in August, sorry. 3 of Hearts, beautiful. And of course this is like the devil here, the shadow. It's labeled fear. Okay, so there you go. Now, what I'm going to do is quickly, now they're all, they're all going to be, I'm going to have to put them back in order. Not in order so much, but yeah, they're not all, there's going to be some reversals now here going on, I think, the way this are. That's the only thing with Blue Angel cardstock. The shuffling is all over the place for someone like me. But okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see here, we have 5 of Stars diversity. I don't always see the 5 of Wands as diversity. I see it more as an internal quarrel and fire and competing energies in that sense, diversity. But, you know, so yeah, so I think that's where one has to be a bit careful with these keywords. But anyway, so let me pull a card and show you. Okay, so here's the turnaround revolution. And just to be very clear, the amount that you're going to get for the majors is the same for the minors. So you're not shortchanged on the minors at all. So this is the turnaround, which is the Hanged Man, traditionally. And let's get the guidebook. Here we go. Here's the guidebook. And so you're getting one side of a page per card. And there will be like a little bit of a text at the top, and then description, meaning, and then RWS correlation as well. Okay. So revolution. Your world is turning upside down. Fighting it will only cause hurt. Surrender and you will feel yourself gently turning to a new perspective. And then it gives a description. This tree symbolizes unconditional love. The colors surrounding the tree are the experiences of life that compete to influence your worldview. Your job is to focus on the lessons that resonate with the change you seek. Look at all the beautiful elements that make up this image. By focusing on the beauty, you cannot tell which way is up. Fearful choices bring problematic results. Loving choices manifest in more love. The newly formed branches mirror the oldest, deepest roots. This optical illusion inspires surrender to a lightness of being that suspends you in space and time. See, so that's the description, which I thought was beautiful. And then the meaning here is the turnaround represents an experience, situation, event, or person that will turn your world upside down so that an unneeded part of your life can shake loose. Hang in there. You have plenty of time to review things and do some soul searching. What do you need to surrender for inner peace? What hang-ups do you have? What people or circumstances have you been waiting to change? If you feel the need to manage and control your life, you may find this time difficult, for this is the very thing that is holding you back from your desires. Relax, let go, and feel yourself turning toward your dreams. And then it says here, Rider-Waite correlations are the Hangman, transition, abandonment, boredom, sacrifice. So I find the cards here are very interestingly done, because even though it gives a very constructive message, it also shows what we need to watch out for. And I think that's really well done, because it brings in, what some people would say, the shadow. It brings in that insight of what holds me back, or where's the resistance basically in that situation, or the blind spot. And I think it's been very well done, because it doesn't leave the querent or, the person reading it feeling, very lost or upset. And I think that's really great. So in terms of a comfort deck, I think it's a great hug deck in that sense, and comforting, as long as you're okay with this imagery, which I do know that for some people it won't be quite perfect. So you know what, I'm going to stop there on this one, because I'm going to do, well, maybe I shouldn't, well, we're at 25, 26, just quickly bear with me. The decks that I actually paired this with mostly last month. One is the Spirit Song Tarot by Paulina Cassidy. There was something about the pastels of this deck that just made me think, will it go with Tarot of Light? And it did. It just, let me just do this quickly. It just beautifully, I don't want to drop all these cards. It just beautifully, there was something about them that, oh, look at that harmony, that just went so well together. And the other deck that I used quite a bit with it was the Super Attractor deck by Gabby Bernstein. And again, it was the colors that just really drew me together, the blend of the colors. So let's take a card from here. Hold on a second. Just drop some cards. So let's take a card here from randomly. So look at those colors. So it says here, it's a long one, isn't it? It has to be a long one. When I live and act from a place of spiritual alignment, I can trust that everything is working out for me, even if I don't know when or how it will happen. What a beautiful message. And you can just see how beautifully they look together and they flow together. But also there's something about this I find very soft and soothing. And this was perfect for August for me, especially because we're still in the summer, we're still experiencing light, but we're also going towards, that hibernation. And there was something about this that just really was like very reassuring and comforting, especially if you're in a time of transition in your life. I found that working with these kind of decks was really great. Another deck that I kind of used with it, and I just want to add to it very quickly before we finish, is the Creativity Oracle with Amy Zerner and Monty Farber. Now, they've just released some other new decks, so this Geo just do magnificent decks. But I do know that some people really loved seeing me use this deck. So I'm just going to quickly pull a card from this one as well, and just hold it up with the rest. So this says push. Don't feel inadequate. Forget how to quit. Push on no matter how things look. And, if we look at these cards all together, you can just see how beautifully they kind of just the flow of colors, the imagery. It was just a delight to put this stuff together. It was just so much fun. And that's some of the things that I like about tarot, just bouncing images off each other and seeing what, where is it taking me. And I love here, how some of the pinks and the muted tones are blending well with this, and then it blends well with the Tarot of Light, which was the main deck, and then, the flow goes really well with his Spirit Song. So I just found these interesting pairings for myself. And, and this goes back to the video I did recently about, when we're buying decks, do they go with others? That's something that's helpful for me. It doesn't always work. And, and sometimes I do have to go into my library and just pick bits and pieces and put them together, which is what I did here. And it works, so it's just more for me, just seeking that harmony so that when I look down, I can see the message coming through. So I am going to stop here. I hope you enjoyed my deep dive review of using the Tarot of Light by Denisejarvie, and let me just find the box. Just find the top of that box is kind of like interesting. It's disappeared. This is what happens when you have a tiny table. But here it is, yeah. So Tarot of Light by Denisejarvie and ToniCarmineSalerno. Tune in for my next deep dive at the end of September, which is going to be a little bit different. Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit different. But yeah, anyway, thank you for joining me, and I will see you all again soon. Take care now. Bye.